What is up, everybody? We're back here at King Film Sports for the 2024 Pac-12 tournament predictions here in college basketball. Pac-12 obviously a little bit down this year. You've obviously got a dominant team in Arizona at the number one line, and then a couple other potential tournament teams. You've got Washington State. They're more of a lock to make the tournament. And then you've got Utah and Colorado sitting around the bubble, so their performances in this tournament will be very impactful for their seeding there. And then obviously a bunch of other teams could steal a bid if they end up cutting down the nets this Saturday in Las Vegas. Let's get into it. But before we do, be sure to check out the other prediction videos that we've done on different conferences in college basketball. We have done ACC tournament predictions, Big East, Big 12, coming out with Big 10 later. Also done SEC, so be sure to tune into those ones after this one. And we started out here in the first round on Wednesday with Washington and USC. And this one will be a great matchup here. You've obviously got the star power with USC. Bronny coming off the bench there really supplies enough firepower in terms of the media hype. But then you've also got a couple elite players in Boogie Ellis and Isaiah Collier, and then a couple other great starters, but just poorly coached team this season under Andy Enfield. Disappointing season, obviously, in out-of-conference and conference play. Did finish up with that win against Arizona and did look good against Washington and Washington State the week before that. And they did end up beating Washington in Seattle. So give me USC to win this game here. This Washington team has been pretty disappointing based on preseason expectations here as well. So I think USC, I'm not saying that they're rounding into form completely or firing on all cylinders, but I just think that their talent edge will supplant Washington in that first round matchup. Then we get to UCLA and Oregon State. Disappointing season for both of these clubs. UCLA obviously was a great team last year, getting number 2 seed in the NCAA tournament, and this year will not make it unless they win this Pac-12 bracket here. And Oregon State, obviously at the 12 line, one of the worst teams in the Pac-12. UCLA did sweep this matchup, and they do have a lot of the core from last season, so I do expect them to mop up Oregon State there easily. Then you've got the Battle of the Bay here between Cal and Stanford, two academic powerhouses. And in this one, I'm going to be taking Stanford slight upset at the 10 line. These two teams did split this season, but they recently played in Stanford, and that one was an absolute blowout. Stanford won by, I think, 20 to 30 points in that one. And although they are separated by 3 seeds, Cal only had one more win in conference play, so I think by and large Stanford is the better team in this matchup, and I think that they will get this one done there. And then you've got here Utah and Arizona State. Down year for Arizona State, obviously just don't have the power or the meat inside to really contend. So at this 11 seed against this Utah team, I do expect the Utes to advance in that one there. That will be a much needed victory for their NCAA tournament campaign. And then that brings us to the quarterfinal round, and this might be the most compelling game of this tournament between Arizona and USC. Perhaps I'm overreacting to this USC upset last night in LA, but USC really controlled that game, and just the narrative around Arizona. Of course, they are a very talented team, always a well-coached team, had a great out-of-conference run, and then were decent in conference, but had a couple upsets, including that one last night, as I mentioned. So this one will be very important for Arizona. It was looking like they could be a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament, but now with that loss and potentially another loss in this Pac-12 tournament, that is increasingly unlikely here. So this Pac-12 tournament obviously very impactful for them. But I do expect Arizona to get over the hump here. I just think that the margin for error of USC, sure they are a talented team, but they turn the ball over and do not play the best defense at times here. And I just think that the bounce back for Arizona, Tommy Lloyd will be yelling at them for a few days after that loss, so I expect an inspired performance. I think in this first half, they are really going to lay it on the gas pedal here against USC. They might go wire to wire with the victory in this one, but if USC has an early lead, I think Arizona should be careful in that one. But overall, I just think that the Wildcats are the better team there and will be able to bury USC. Then we've got Oregon and UCLA, a really even matchup here. Give me UCLA slight upset at the 5 seed to advance in this one. I just think that core with Adem Bona and a couple other players inside will be good enough to advance there. Oregon, obviously a decent team in their own right, but a little bit disappointing in conference play, especially on their home court. Thought they would get a couple more victories than they actually did. So give me UCLA in this one, although could obviously go either way. Then we've got Washington State against Stanford. Wazoo did sweep this matchup in the regular season. Neither was particularly close there. I think both were in the double digits. Give me Wazoo to win. They did end the season out very poorly in the Apple Cup at home, losing to Washington. That was a bad sign for this Wazoo team. Also, in that week where they beat Arizona in Tucson, they did end up losing, I think, to Arizona State. So that's not good at all. So they've kind of been an up and down team, but have been decently consistent as of late. Give me Wazoo to right the ship and advance here and get to the semifinals there. Then we get to Colorado and Utah, the Rumble in the Rockies here. And it's always tough to predict these teams' games when they are on a neutral site because obviously they're at a big disadvantage playing at that altitude. And then playing at the other schools, they are at a disadvantage there. So in this one, obviously these two teams split. Colorado won at home, Utah won theirs at home. Big game for the bubble, as I mentioned, and I just think Colorado is a better team. Pretty big winning streak as of late within February and going into March, so I do think that continues here. I think that Colorado is overall the better team over Utah, so give me them to win that one there and advance to the semifinals. So that brings us to Arizona and UCLA, and obviously a lot of brand name recognition between these two clubs, and give me Arizona to advance in this one. I just think that they're clearly the better team. These two teams played this last Thursday, and it wasn't even close, and that one was in LA. So I think on a neutral court here, if Arizona is able to get by USC, they will have no trouble with this UCLA team. I just think that UCLA really hasn't been able to shoot the ball very well this season, and that will be required against this feisty Arizona bunch. So give me Arizona to win in a blowout there. And that brings us to Washington State and Colorado. This one should be a very good matchup on Friday night. And give me the Colorado Buffaloes to win this game here. I do think that the margin between these two teams is very, very thin. These two teams split in the regular season. And I just think, as I mentioned, Colorado's been playing very well as of late. Need these ones for the tournament. Washington State did have that good run in the middle of their conference play, but a bit shaky recently. So give me Colorado to win this one, picking up steam heading into the final where they play against Arizona here. This one will be a thrilling final. Can Colorado knock off Arizona here? If they get to this point, they're probably solidly into the tournament, but you obviously want to win the entire thing. Arizona will be thinking this game is a must win to secure the Pac-12 this season in its final year of existence. And give me Arizona to win this one. A few weeks ago, they did go into Boulder and stomped on Colorado by, I think, 20 to 30 points, and that one was never close, let alone on a neutral site this time. I think that Arizona is clearly the better team and will win this one there. So with that being said, I have Arizona cutting down the nets in Las Vegas. Pretty chalk pick, to be honest. It's just what I think is most likely to happen at this point. If you guys think that another team will knock off Arizona, who do you think it will be? Let me know in the comments. Do you have a couple other upsets that I don't have in this bracket? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one.